If you work hard and still feel invisible, this is why. If hard work isn't the advantage anymore, then this is being recognized. Most people think value comes first. They believe, if I'm good enough, people will notice. That belief feels fair. It also explains why so many capable people stay invisible, because the market doesn't discover value. It responds to what it can recognize. And recognition is not automatic. You don't get paid for what you know. You don't get paid for how hard you work. You don't get paid for how good you are. You get paid for what people can place. This is where the confusion starts, because you are valuable, you are capable, you are putting in effort. So when nothing happens, you assume the problem must be quality. It usually isn't. The real problem is simpler. Nobody knows where to put you. When people can't recognize you, they don't reject you. They don't criticize you. They don't argue with you. They just move on. This is why invisibility feels so quiet. No feedback, no friction, no resistance, just silence. And silence is easy to misinterpret. You tell yourself, I just need more time. I just need to get better. I just need to be more consistent. So you work harder, again, but effort without recognition doesn't stack. It resets every time. Recognition is what gives effort memory. Without it, everything you do disappears the moment you stop doing it. This is why some people seem to move faster with less effort, not because they're better, because they're recognizable. People know who they are, what lane they're in, why they matter. That clarity does the work for them, and this is the part nobody warns you about. Being good in silence doesn't turn into being known. It turns into being ignored, politely. You don't feel rejected here. You feel overlooked, and that's more confusing, because you don't know what to fix. So you fix yourself, your habits, your discipline, your routines, when the real issue was never inside you, it was outside you. If people can't recognize you, they can't recommend you, they can't remember you, they can't reward you, not because they're cruel, because the brain doesn't pay for what it can't categorize. And this is why visibility comes first, not posting more. Not talking louder, not performing, being placeable. This is also why working harder often makes invisibility worse, because it convinces you you're earning something when nothing is accumulating. Recognition is what allows value to compound. Without it, effort leaks, time leaks, energy leaks. And ambition quietly turns into frustration. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because once you see this, you realize something else, something heavier. If recognition comes first, then most people aren't struggling because they lack value. They're struggling because nobody knows what to do with them. That realization doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel motivating. It feels destabilizing. Because it means effort alone was never going to save you. And it raises a new question, a dangerous one. If recognition is the gate, why do some people get it easily, and others stay invisible doing everything right? Because invisibility doesn't feel like failure. It feels like nothing, and this is why invisibility is so dangerous. Because nothing tells you it's happening. There's no alert, no rejection, no clear signal, just quiet. When people don't recognize you, they don't argue with you. They don't say you're wrong. They don't tell you you're bad. They just don't engage, and your brain fills in the gap. You assume it must be quality, so you refine, you improve, you polish, you make things better that nobody is noticing. That's how invisible effort compounds negatively. The more you improve in silence, the more convinced you become that the breakthrough must be close. Because surely this level of effort has to pay eventually. This is where ambition gets trapped, not by laziness, by hope. Hope that if you just keep going, someone will finally see it. Hope that effort will eventually convert itself into recognition. hope that being good is enough. But the market doesn't work on hope, it works on signals, and invisibility means your signal is too weak to register. So you stay inside motion. Motion feels safe. Motion feels like progress. Stopping feels risky, because if you stop, you might have to look at the truth that nothing has been accumulating, that every day resets to zero, that effort without recognition has no memory. This is why people become busy experts, highly capable, deeply knowledgeable, quietly overlooked. They don't lack value. They lack placement. Placement is what tells people this is who you are, this is where you belong, this is why you matter. Without that, everything you do floats, and floating never compounds. This is also why feedback feels so confusing here. You might get compliments. You're talented, you're smart, you're really good at this, but nothing changes. Because compliments aren't recognition. Recognition creates association, and association is what makes people act. Without association, they don't remember you, they don't recommend you, they don't return, not because they don't like you, because they don't know where you fit. And here's the part people don't want to hear. You can be invisible even while being admired. You can be respected and still irrelevant. That's why invisibility feels heavier than failure. Failure gives feedback. Invisibility gives silence. And silence makes people doubt themselves. So they add more effort, more output, more hours, more pressure, thinking volume will fix recognition. It won't. Volume without clarity just creates more noise. This is where people burn out, not because they're weak, but because they're investing energy into something that doesn't return it. And once you notice this, you start seeing it everywhere. Hard-working people running faster in place, talented people being quietly ignored, ambitious people confused by lack of traction, and the question keeps getting louder. If recognition is what allows value to compound, why do so few people ever get it? Why does it seem uneven? Why does it feel random? Why does effort matter so much less than people were promised? Because sitting with that question is uncomfortable. So instead of fixing this, most people distract themselves from it. They scroll, they consume, they watch more advice. Because advice feels like progress without forcing you to confront why nothing is sticking. So just notice this. Notice how often you've been told to do more, without anyone explaining why what you're doing isn't accumulating. Notice how often the answer was more effort, more discipline, more consistency, more patience, as if recognition was supposed to magically appear on its own. And notice how quiet invisibility is. No alarms, no warnings, no failure moment, just time passing. This is why people stay here for years, because nothing feels wrong enough to leave. It just feels heavy, so they normalize it. They tell themselves this is just how it is. Success takes time. Everyone struggles, and some struggle is normal, but being unseen indefinitely isn't. This is where ambition slowly dulls, not because people stop wanting more, but because wanting more without movement hurts. So they shrink the desire instead of questioning the system. And here's the quiet cost. When you're invisible long enough, you stop expecting recognition. You stop positioning yourself for it. You stop believing it's something that happens to you. That's when effort becomes safer than visibility, because visibility risks rejection. Effort doesn't. Effort lets you stay hidden while still feeling productive. So if this feels uncomfortable, don't rush to escape it. That discomfort isn't a problem. It's a signal that effort alone has been carrying something it was never meant to carry. And once you feel that, you can't unfeel it. You start seeing how often recognition is the missing piece, not talent, not intelligence, not work ethic, recognition. and that realization changes what you pay attention to next. And this is where invisibility starts to change how people see themselves, not consciously, subtly. You stop expecting momentum. You stop assuming things will compound. You begin to treat effort like maintenance instead of growth. You don't think, this will move me forward. You think, at least I'm not falling behind. That shift is dangerous because ambition needs expectation, and invisibility slowly lowers it. You start measuring progress differently, not by expansion but by survival. I'm still here, I'm still working. I haven't quit, as if staying in place is the win. And from the outside, everything still looks fine. You're functional, responsible, consistent. But internally, you feel capped. Capped by effort that doesn't echo back. Capped by work that disappears the moment you stop doing it. Capped by a ceiling you can't see but keep bumping into. This is how invisibility reshapes ambition. It doesn't crush it, it contains it. So instead of thinking bigger, you think safer. Instead of experimenting, you perfect what's familiar. Instead of asking, how do I get recognized? You ask, how do I endure this? And endurance quietly replaces direction. This is why people don't leave invisibility easily, because leaving would mean admitting that effort was never the missing piece. And that's a painful realization. Effort is comforting. It gives you control. You can always work harder. You can always add more. You can always tell yourself you're doing the right thing. Recognition doesn't offer that comfort. Recognition requires exposure. It requires being seen before you feel ready. It requires risking silence or indifference or misunderstanding. So effort becomes the safer choice, not the better one, the safer one. This is why invisibility persists even among ambitious people, not because they don't want more, but because effort feels noble and visibility feels vulnerable. Effort lets you stay hidden while still feeling productive. Visibility asks you to step forward without guarantees, so most people choose effort again and again and again until exhaustion replaces curiosity, and that's the loop, not laziness, not lack of talent, a loop where effort protects you from confronting invisibility. And once you're inside it, everything reinforces it. Advice tells you to grind. Culture praises discipline. Peers normalize stagnation. So nothing feels urgent enough to change, except the quiet feeling that something is off. That effort shouldn't feel this empty. That ambition shouldn't feel this heavy. And that feeling is the hinge. And this is where the loop fully closes around people, because by now it's not just that effort isn't paying, it's that effort has become the thing keeping them from noticing why. When you rely on effort long enough, you stop questioning the silence. You start accepting it. You tell yourself, this is just part of the process. It takes time. Everyone struggles. And some struggle is normal, but being unseen for years isn't. At some point, effort stops feeling like progress and starts feeling like protection. Protection from the risk of being visible, protection from being judged, protection from finding out whether anyone would actually notice. So effort becomes safer than exposure, and safety becomes the ceiling. This is why invisibility doesn't feel urgent. It feels responsible. You're busy. You're working. You're doing what you're supposed to do. So nothing forces a decision. Nothing forces a reckoning until ambition starts to feel heavy, until motivation stops working, until the question won't go quiet anymore. Because deep down, you already know this isn't about work ethic. You've proven that. It's about something else, something you've been circling without naming. The unsettling part is this. Once you see that recognition comes first, you realize how many people are exhausting themselves in places that will never reflect them back. And you realize something else too. This wasn't an accident. You weren't unlucky. You weren't slow. You were just invisible inside a system that doesn't announce it. That realization doesn't feel motivating. It feels destabilizing because it means effort was never the gate. And once that lands, you can't go back to asking the old question. So the question is no longer, how hard am I working? And it's not even, why isn't anyone recognizing me? It becomes something sharper, something you can't ignore once it forms. If recognition is the gate, what determines who gets it, and who stays invisible doing everything right? And why does that line feel so hard to see until it's already cost you years? That question doesn't resolve itself, it follows you, and once it does, everything you watch next changes.